Well, brothers and sisters, we're here. It's a great pleasure to be with you. We prepared a little of what we've been doing in Brazil, and we want to share with you a little of our experience, okay? The main topic today is the role of the formators and the importance of teamwork. It's a very rich experience we have in Brazil. We don't work alone. Yeah, but as a team, there isn't only one person who is responsible for formation in our fraternities. The inspiration for this methodology is the pedagogy used by Jesus. He was a friend who lived with them, ate with them, walked with them. Just a moment, I can't read here. Rejoiced with them and suffered with them. So this is the main point, right? When we are working with our brothers and sisters, we are beginning in Franciscanism, then we need to be part of the group and trying to copy what Jesus lived with his disciples. So the formator is the brother or sister who teaches living together, sharing life in everyday experiences. It's very important that we consider that everything is involved in formation, not only the moments we have talking about theory, but in fact, sharing life, yeah, knowing our brothers and sisters and knowing that they don't come starting from zero. Yeah, they have lots of experiences and we have to use and involve and read their experiences using what we have, the teaching we have from Jesus and St. Francis and Clare, to read their lives. If you want to interrupt me to ask questions, that's fine, okay? Feel free. So Jesus tells short stories to compare the things. I'm sorry, there is something I can see here. Okay, which are not so obvious, to compare the things of God, which are not so obvious with the things in the people's life, and everyone knew and experienced daily. So this is what is important, right? The language is something essential, and Jesus tried to be really, really close to the ones he was teaching, using what was part of their experience. This is what we try to use here in Brazil. We have completely different people in our fraternities, people who have studied a lot, others who haven't, people who have economic background, which is more comfortable, let's say like that, and others who are not, who don't have this background. And sometimes all these people are together in a fraternity. Yeah, and we need to form these people together. And this is we know that this is a big challenge. So it's possible to speak with a simple but rich and deep language so that everyone understands and participates. This understanding and participation is really important, right? We can't have somebody in our fraternities who just goes to the meetings and doesn't get involved, doesn't share, right? Just listens. This is not what we want to do. We want them to be the first ones to be involved in the formation, right? They are responsible for their own formation at first. So Jesus teaches the disciples by involving them in the mission. It's not something like, see what I do, right? But let's do it together. Formators ensure practical and missionary formation. This is something really important for us. We try to have the meetings, of course, right? We need the teachings, but all the time we need to involve them in practical situations and missionary situations, right? We are not formed to be Franciscans only among Franciscans, but we need to be involved in the society all the time, right? We need to make a difference wherever we are. We are in our families, in this, in our jobs, in as citizens, right? This is really, really important. How we organize the formation. Here we have this, what we call integral formation, right? So we have three aspects which we consider are very, very important. First of all, we need to consider the human part. We need to be formed as human beings. We need to be better human beings after being in fraternity. This is essential. Of course, then we have the Christian part. Jesus is always the reference for us. And we know that it's more than only a catechesis, right? But especially what was essential for St. Francis, then we need to focus in our formation. And then the Franciscan part. So we need to combine these three elements so that we have what we call integral formation. I can't see the... Okay, and we call it also humanizing. Why? Because information, there must be a permanent space for dialogue. Yeah, as I mentioned before, it's impossible to consider that only one person is going to speak during the meetings and is going to have all the knowledge. Yeah, everything is shared, everything is a dialogue. We need to talk all the time and to listen how what we've been living and reading and studying is affecting our brothers and sisters, how they are, how can I say, how they are interpreting what we've taught them and how their lives are changing because of the Franciscan formation, right? It needs to change them. If it doesn't make a difference, it's nonsense. The brother or sister is also someone who directly participates in his or her own formation process. Yeah, and here there are many things involved. For example, readings and also experiences these brothers and sisters are living, and also the way they are open to this formation. Sometimes we know that we have brothers and sisters who are there, but they have like closed hearts and nothing changes. And it's not what we want them to have, right? Belonging to a Franciscan fraternity needs to change us completely in all our aspects. Why do we call it horizontal? Because we need to be, as I mentioned about Jesus pedagogy, that we are not at a higher level. Yeah, we are part of this group, so they don't need, they can't be afraid, you know, of asking questions. Of the meeting and the fraternity needs to be approachable, yeah, to show their fears and their doubts and their difficulties. This is very important. If the formator has a behavior, right, that makes these brothers and sisters far away or distant or something like, oh, I know everything and you don't, then we don't have the involvement and the participation we expect them to have. We believe in a formation process that is horizontal with effective participation of everyone. Yeah, not only the formator speaking. This is very important for us. Here we have about the work team. Yeah, as I mentioned, we don't work alone. We know that it's a really challenging task to be a formator in a fraternity. But in Brazil, we consider it's a group, it's a team, right? And this involves the spiritual assistant, which has an essential role when we consider the charisma all the other aspects, sometimes some orientations and some advices, and there are many times when the participation of the spiritual assistant is essential, yeah? But it's very important to consider that they are not the responsible for our formation. We, as secular Franciscans, we are the responsible ones for our brothers and sisters. So they participate, and it's very important to have this participation, but it's not their role to be the formator for the fraternity. It's something that we try to focus a lot in Brazil. Here we have brothers and sisters responsible for other services. I don't know how it is in your countries, but in Brazil we have brothers and sisters who are responsible for the elderly and sick people in our fraternities. I don't know if it's common for all of your fraternities, and I don't know the name you use, but this person is also responsible for formation, yeah, because when the brother or sister can't go to the fraternity needs to go to see this brother and sister and involve him or her so that the formation is continued, it's permanent, yeah. Another point is the point of justice and peace. There is something really important for us too. Can you hear me well?
Oh my God.
Can you mute your audio, please? Yeah, thanks. And Invalato as well. Can you mute yourself? Thanks. Sorry.
Okay, thank you. So there is the one who is responsible for justice and peace, as I mentioned. Yeah, so this brother or sister, this has to involve the fraternity in the reality where the fraternity is. So this person is going to analyze the situation, the reality, and try to have to work on this part. Yeah, so this missionary part is part of the formation, as I mentioned, and this is the responsibility of this brother or sister who is also a formator. The person who is responsible for communication too, this is part of the formation. Yeah, when we communicate, we can use social media or the communication inside the fraternity. Is also part of this team, this work team. And here we have what we call initial formation. Yeah, there is a previous moment we have in Brazil. It lasts about 1 year or a little more. When these people, have initial contact with the charisma and St. Francis and Claire, the Franciscan family, and all these aspects. It's like an introduction. But we know that there are many things involved. So as we have lots of things for the formator to do, we have other brothers and sisters who are involved and can help during this initial moment, right? So as you can see, it's not such a small group. There are many people involved, and we share the responsibility that is challenging. And in fact, it's very good because then we can share, right, when we decide about the situation of the brother and sister and decide together as a council. Francesca, do you have a question?
Yeah, I have a question. I'm sorry, Anna, to interrupt you. What I want to know is that your presentation, the stuff is very, very good for my spiritual growth, even not only for the fraternity. I would want to know if at all we're going to have a handout after your presentation, because I keep on jotting down notes. So I just want to know if at all we're going to have a handout after your presentation.
Yes, we can ask Jenny to send you, no problems.
I see.
Okay,
thanks.
You can have it entirely, the whole presentation.
Okay.
All right. Brothers and sisters, please feel free, right? I speak a little fast and no problems. You can interrupt me whenever you need. So things which are really important at this moment. Organize formation teams. Yeah, we need to know the people who are involved in this team and we can count on them. They are responsible and reliable people. Ensure a representative team. Compose the team together with the council at different levels. So I don't know how you are organized in your countries, but in Brazil, we have the local fraternities, then we have what we call regional. There is something like states, yeah? And then the national fraternity, because the country is very big. So we have like 16 or 17 big areas that we call region, yeah? And then we have these councils. And this teamwork is formed in each level, right? And something important too, these teams need to communicate among themselves. For example, Mayara, who is here, she's the national formator in Brazil, and I am responsible for a smaller part, one state, we call Minas Gerais, but we need to be in contact all the time, right? We need to share materials and information, and if I have any doubts, we need to be in contact so that we are working as a team, not only in our level, but in different levels too. Plan team activities. Yeah, so maybe we are studying some topics about justice and peace. Why not programming a missionary action with the fraternity, or something which is connected to what we've been reading and studying. And something important that I didn't mention here with these brothers and sisters responsible for other services is the UFRA member, right? The person who is responsible for formation in UFRA is also part of this team. Why? Because we work as a fraternity, yeah, and these young people are also our brothers and sisters. And because in Brazil, I believe it's for about 35, 36 years, we consider part of the formation from UFRA to OFS. So it's necessary that we have this sharing, yeah? And the fraternal animator, is that the name in English, Janie? Fraternal animator from OFS, yeah, right? This person is also part of the work team because we need to have this interface. Yeah, we need to exchange all the time materials and everything. Let me just change here. So clues of how to act. Yeah, here we have some suggestions for you. First of all, be brothers and sisters of the ones who are beginners. Yeah, we need to remember that one day we started too, and they don't know everything, and they are just in love with the charisma, and they need to be followed, right? And as I mentioned, it's not possible if we work as protagonists and they are just following us, but we need to follow them and work with them all the time. Remember to compose a formation team. This is very important. Before we do anything, we need to form the team, right? So that we think together. Two people think better than one, isn't that right? So if we have more than two, it's even better. Organize a participatory, human, and simple formation process. It's not necessary to be complex, but it needs to be involving and effective, right? So this planning is essential at first. Help the brothers and sisters in their vocational discernment. Yeah, sometimes it's difficult for us, our fraternities are small, and we need help. So we are so happy when somebody comes that we don't consider their vocational discernment. And sometimes it happens, yeah, maybe it's a different charisma, it's not a Franciscan charisma, and we need to respect that and help our brothers and sisters during this discernment. The other one, ensure that the identity of secular Franciscan life is the pillar of formation. Yeah, this has to be a light for us. We have an identity, it's very specific, and we need to work on that. Be open to new ideas, new methodologies, new people. Yeah, we never know who is coming to our fraternity. And even if I have the experience of working with different groups, sometimes we're going to have a complete different brother or sister, and I will need to change the way I work. Yeah. And this includes personality or sometimes other challenges. If we use lots of texts and there is somebody who can't read, of course, I'll need to change everything and adapt my methodology. Yeah, and that's fine. And this brother and sister will feel comfortable and welcome at the fraternity. Have a formation plan. Yeah, it's necessary to plan at first, as I mentioned, but be flexible to adaptations. So it's really important that the teamwork has separate meetings to evaluate what has been happening and how the brothers and sisters are following and how are things going. Be open to listening and accompanying each brother or sister in their formation. We need to remember that it's an individual process. So if we have a group of 10, each of them is having a different process. So having these individual moments to listen to the brothers and sisters, their needs, their doubts, their joys, this is very important, okay? Sometimes during the process, we have personal problems, familiar problems, and we need to be in contact with these people every time so that we understand what's happening. Disappear from the scene and let the Spirit act on people. This is not necessary to mention, right? The Holy Spirit is the one who is responsible for everything. We are just instruments, we're just tools. Donate your time to the fraternity and to formation without nothing to wait back. Yeah, sometimes we have lots of personal expectations, and we can get frustrated if things don't happen the way we want. But in fact, we need to consider that God is guiding everything, right? And sometimes we have the impression that things are out of our hands, but in fact, they're just going the way they needed to go. Now the opposite, things that we need to consider and avoid. Don't consider the meeting just as moments of reading and presentation of themes. Yeah, we need to consider that living and sharing with our brothers and sisters is very important. So these moments when we just share about life, for example, is also formation. When we exchange experiences and this kind of thing, sometimes we just sit down and talk. We bring a topic and ask them to give their opinions about it. This is also formation, not only when we have the Bible or the Franciscan texts. Don't think that the formator is an intellectual. Sometimes we have some brothers and sisters who consider that, yeah, it has to be the teacher of the fraternity, and this is not the point. Sometimes the person hasn't studied a lot, but this person is a really good Franciscan and has lots of conditions to be the formator. Don't make systematic transfer, just fulfilling the program. Yeah. Oh, I have 10 topics to work with this group, so check, check, check. No, it's not like that. Sometimes we need to analyze, review, and use the topics in different ways. This is what we mentioned when we talked about methodology. Don't conduct the formative process in a disconnected way. Yeah, the topics are not independent. Everything is together in what we want them to be when they are prepared for the votes. Don't think, prepare, and do everything alone. As I mentioned, if we think together, then it's much better. Don't believe that the obligation of formation belongs only to the spiritual assistant. As I mentioned, yeah, of course, the formation the spiritual assistant has, considering philosophy, theology, and the experience in general, has lots to contribute to the fraternity, and his role is really, really, really important, but he can't be the only responsible for the formation. Yeah, as I mentioned before, we are seculars and we need to be the ones in charge of the conduction of our fraternities. Okay, so the role of the formator in the fraternity: act effectively as a counselor. Yeah, this is very important. We work in a council, but we have a very important role. So we need to be we need to participate effectively. Coordinate the activities of the formation team. We are a team, but there is one person who is responsible to work with this team, yeah, to motivate, to ask people to do things, and to separate what each one is going to do. This is the responsibility of the formator. Accompany the brothers' formative journey. Yeah, we need to see what has been studied, what is missing, who is going to conduct the meetings. Let me just change my, okay. Search, indicate, publish, and promote the materials necessary for the formation of secular Franciscans. And here, especially when we talk about higher levels, yeah, at a national fraternity or a regional fraternity, we need to produce more materials and spread these materials so that everybody is working as we were working united, right? Work in communion with the Franciscan family. I don't know how the Franciscan family is organized in your countries, but keeping contact with them is very important. Spread the publications of the self-presidency. It's always important. Keep in regular contact with formators at other levels. I mentioned this one, right? We need to have the communication throughout the teamwork in our level, but also different levels so that we follow what's being thought at other levels, and organize formation planning. As I mentioned, the planning is very important to start, right? We never know where we're going to go if we don't plan the way. So organizing a work plan. Now I want you to think about your realities, what you have in your countries, and I'm sure that each one here is different from the other. And we need to be very honest with ourselves so that we don't plan something that won't be possible to do, or we start at a point and there is something missing behind. So we need to be realistic, yeah, so that we plan a very good way. The questions are, what's our formative reality? Do we have challenges? What are they? What are these challenges? Which goals would we like to achieve? Yeah, where would we like to go? And something important, when? Yeah, we have to establish deadlines to do and to achieve some goals. Which activities and methodologies are we going to propose? What inspires us? How, when, and where are we going to run? Will we need to revisit our initial planning? As I said, sometimes we need to stop and evaluate how things are going. In Brazil, we try to use a very important methodology that is from Mater et Magistra. I'm sure you know it. It's the methodology See, Judge, and Act, right? And it's a very good methodology to plan our meetings, not only for the formation, but in general, right? So see, when we think about see, what's our reality? Yeah, and again, what do you see? What's happening? Who is being affected? What's this doing to the people or to the earth? What's happening? We need to be very honest in analyzing the situation, facing the situation, so that we can plan something. Yeah. The same with the people who are information. What is the reality we have? What is the style of the brothers and sisters who are with us? What is the profile and what are the characteristics? Then we have judge. Yeah. Here we need to use Jesus and Francis and the Bible. What would Jesus do in this situation? Yeah, imagine if Jesus was in my place, in my situation, what would he do? What does scripture and Catholic social teaching say about this? What do you think should happen? So this is really important to light our way and the way we are going to conduct our actions. And then after we see and judge, we need to see how we're going to work, how we're going to act. How can you make this world a better place? How can you change this reality? What do you want to change? What actions can you take to start this change? Yeah, we don't know if we could finish this change, but start we can. And how could we do it? And who can you ask to help or be involved to help? So these three topics are essential when we are planning our activities and especially the formation process in our fraternities. I can see here that you have some. Okay, I was just checking the chat here. And I have another question for you. How do you work and what are the challenges faced by the formators in your country? So this is an essential question to inspire and make you reflect so that you start thinking about your plan, yeah? In fact, as we talked here, this is the question to inspire the moment see. Yeah, let's see the reality we have, the brothers and sisters, the fraternities and the formators. What happens to them? What are the difficulties they have? And here we have a little letter. I, Brother Francis, send wishes of health to Brother Anthony, my bishop. It pleases me that you teach sacred theology to the brothers as long as in the words of the rule, you don't extinguish the spirit of prayer and devotion with study of this kind. Well, that's it.